Hey there, everybody. This is Adam Zundel for collegesoccernews.com and the collegesoccernews.com podcast. Thanks so much for being with us. Pleased to be joined today by the Pepperdine head coach, Coach Tim Ward. Coach, thanks so much for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure.
And I want everyone to know that he is pulled over, and so we are in a safe situation here. We are not talking and driving at the same time. So,
Yeah.
well, Coach, let's just go ahead and start. You guys are obviously off to another terrific start. And I really want to kind of go back to last year. And I know it was a historic season, back to the Sweet 16 and you lose to the eventual national champs. So how do you go about that how do you process that season? And do you think about, well, maybe we were number 2 and not top 16?
Well, no, it's funny. Yeah, I mean, there's just in our sport, I've been doing it so long. There's just so many good programs out there, and I think we're a decent program. I think we're pretty good, and I don't really get caught up in the hype. I don't really read the news a whole lot, to be honest. I used to be a part of a lot of the ranking committees. So here I'm starting last season to tell you. I used to do and know every score in the country every weekend. When you've done it 29 years, you've been a part of a few things, um, and it's not that I don't care about that anymore, but I think the older I get and the longer I do it, the more we just try to focus on what we're doing and staying in our lane. And I know that might sound cliche, but when we look back at our season last year, we're really proud of it. I don't really know, and I tell our girls, don't really pay attention to the rankings or what other people think of us. Let's just focus on what we think of us. And we felt like we had a really nice team last year on the day. I've had a couple teams like this, not a lot, but a few, that on the day we felt like we could give anybody in the game anybody in the country a game. And yeah, to run into a really nice Florida State team in the Sweet 16, sometimes that comes down to your seed. I don't even know what we were seeded. I don't know if we were a 4 seed or a 3 seed, but as y'all know, to win a national championship, which we've never done, but we aspire to do, you've got to both be good and you've got to have a nice draw, and you've got to have a few of the balls bouncing your way along the run. And we gave up an early goal. Mark Corin, I think, is one of the best. And it was really, as I told him after the game, after we lost 1-0, I said, man, what an honor and a privilege to play your team. They were special. And what was special about that particular team is that every single woman on the field, I felt for them, could handle the ball under pressure of being double or triple teamed and really come in a composed manner. And I think that was the difference between their team and our team. I think I have a lot of girls that can do that, but I don't know if every single one of our girls could have done that last year. And I think that was the difference. I think their class was really, really something special. So as much as we didn't want to lose that game, I think the game plan going into that match last year was to keep it close. We knew we were going to get a couple chances. We had a pretty prolific offense. But in a game like that, it's like an away Champions League tie. I was watching Champions League today. So, you're not going to get a ton of chances, but you are going to get a few. And when you do, you've got to bury them. We had a few in that game, not a lot, but we had 3, maybe 4 looks where you've got to capitalize. And then the thought was, if we could tie, we could get to PKs. Hey, anything goes. So, but no, it was bittersweet in that we felt like we had a great run, but lost to a really, really good team that proved to be the national champ.
So what's interesting about that is I went and watched your post game, and the same thing that you are saying now, in the same tone you're saying now, is what you said then. So you would think that in that moment it would feel. I'm sure it hurt for sure, but there you were with a smile on your face, with gratitude for the opportunity to play, and with the way that you all played. So that really kind of. So I guess I'm saying that as the what you're saying now is completely authentic to what you experienced in those moments right afterward, and that's commendable in my book.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I also, with our girls, I think some things have changed after COVID. I think, I look back at how serious I took soccer. I mean, I still love it. It's a huge part of my life, but man, I just think after the season of life that the world just came through a few years ago, where sport was pretty much taken away from us and loved ones were taken away from us. I've always been a guy that's had a lot of gratitude in my heart, but I'm coaching women's soccer. we're not dodging landmines in Pakistan. I feel like this is just, it's supposed to be a joyful experience. I feel blessed to do what I do every day with the people I do it. So yeah, I'm hoping that comes through in the way that I'm coaching and portraying and the game to the girls and the women that I get to work with. But I also think now more than ever that look, I'll say it every time I get interviewed, and this is not an original. I got it from the Messiah Method, and that is that winning is obviously the point, but it is no longer my purpose. And that changed a long, long time ago for me. I used to think that if I won, that made me something special. I thought if I win, I'm great. That makes me great. And I just don't think that way anymore. I feel like with the women that we get, or I've coached boys as well, but with the young athletes that we get to train, we're really using soccer as simply a vehicle to teach them about life and about developing character and becoming a better human being and being a light in the community. And that's really my passion, if you want to know the truth. So I love the sport. My wife always goes, how can you watch so much soccer? And I still love it, but I think it's an amazing vehicle to teach things like humility and sacrifice and integrity and perseverance and these core values that I think these women can take with them the rest of their walk.
So was there, I mean, obviously COVID had a profound impact, but you said even before that, was there a moment where you stopped kind of hanging your hat on results, or was there a particular thing, or is it just kind of growing up?
I think so. I got the head coaching job when I was 26 in 1997, and so they hired a young guy at Pepperdine. I'm eternally grateful. I always joke I was the cheapest man for the job. I'm pretty sure it was true, but I tell everybody that. But early on, when you're a 26-year-old getting a head coaching job, you want to prove to the people that hired you that they didn't make a mistake. And so, how do you do that? Win. You just win. And I'm competitive, and I think in American culture, just win, baby. It's sort of this. I don't know. I tell the story. It's a Brett Ledbetter story. Becky Burley introduced me to Brett a few years back, and he talks about, kids are conditioned in America. Like, say, after my son plays basketball. So if we go eat, my son's now 19, but when he was younger, if we went to I don't know, food, get a bite to eat after the game, unknowingly, friends and family would say, "Hey, bud, Nate, did you win? And how many points did you get?" And it's a very subliminal message that I'm a dad of 3 kids, but I've coached, and it's our kids, our athletes have been defined their whole life. They think their value comes that if they won, they're valuable, and if they are a starter or a goal scorer or sort of that, those people, that they have extra value because of that. And I am having to reprogram the whole way I look at it. You asked when it changed for me. When it changes, when I became a parent. In 2001, my first daughter was born, Abigail. And then in 2003, my son was born. And then in 2007 is when it really hit me, when my third was born. And I'm like, look, these kids, these women that I'm coaching at Pepperdine, these are parents' daughters. And it went from, I'm sure you've heard of this from other coaches, but it went from being the very transactional coach relationship with the player where, hey, I give you money, I coach you, you get me wins, you feel good about yourself, you play, and I feel good about myself. That's very transactional. And it very, very profoundly switched for me to a transformational journey where I feel like God put me in these women's lives to help them grow. And by the way, they're helping me. I've grown more from the players I've coached than, I mean, it's the most humbling thing ever being the coach of women's, collegiate athletes. It's been an amazing journey for me personally. So yeah, it changed when I became a parent, for sure.
So let me ask this. I think that sounds good, and it is good. I don't mean to say that, but I think how do you deal with keeping your edge and still being competitive and still wanting to win, but not making it the only thing? Is that, I mean, I it's hard to see them as not as it's easy to see them as opposites, I guess.
Yeah.
And
So this, no, I'm with you. I know where you're going with this. So I've since realized that it doesn't have to be an either or proposition. It can be an and both. And I feel like we can develop women of character and we can pursue excellence. I don't think they have to be mutually exclusive. And I think, being a Christian fella for a long time, I thought, oh, I'm not supposed to be cutthroat competitive, you know. Now I take the cutthroat out, I can be competitive though. And I think it's that pursuit of excellence. So if I'm doing something, I know that I'm called to do it to the best of my ability. So how do we keep our edge every single day? I feel like you have to show up in a way that honors the people and the time of the people you're with. And therefore you need to bring your best. And that's how we try to keep our edge. The standards aren't comparing ourselves, like, and that's why I look at, like, take the Florida State game. I wasn't I wasn't bitter. I love seeing excellence play out, and I really felt that was in all my 29 years, it's one of the better soccer teams I've ever played or coached against was that Florida State team. So from my worldview, from my perspective, I'm like, wow, that's excellence come to life, or excellence personified. And for me, that's an exciting thing, because that's what I'm trying to do with our group. We have two matches this week. We play Long Beach State tomorrow, and we play UCLA on Sunday. They're both, I love their staffs. I mean, I consider both the staffs of these programs very, very dear to me. They're great human beings. And so, of course we want to win, of course. But we need to get better. I really feel like we can get better. And every game is just an opportunity to do that. So that's what I think is really cool about soccer, is that it's this, I mean, man, if you don't humble yourself, like, I'm a Liverpool fan, right? So Liverpool have been at such heights the last 3 years with Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola going at it. But even this year, very quickly, if you just show up and you just go through the motions, you find out very quickly that this sport will humble you. And that's what I love about it, because you constantly have to reinvent yourself. You constantly have to bring your best. And I've told my players, if I ever lose my passion for the game, I need to step down, because it's not fair to them. And so I have to bring a passion daily and pursue excellence daily on the training pitch. And if I do that, generally, the fruit of that is really, really good stuff. Usually the results follow.
Yeah. Well, we did veer, but I thought that was really valuable and important. I appreciate that discussion, because I love hearing about that stuff and that perspective. Tell me about picking up the pieces, I guess, a little bit, and moving forward. You have so many pieces coming back, or that are back from your squad from last year. You're integrating new pieces. It's a new team. It's a new year. How do you kind of build off the momentum, I guess, if there is any that can come from one season to the next, and then try to pursue this new goal with this new team?
Yeah, I don't know how other coaches do it, but we obviously really value culture, and culture is something that is transcendent. It just doesn't die with when one team graduates, right? It's something that we do leadership series with our girls, with our women, and the seniors are always charged with leaving a legacy, leaving the jersey in a better place. And how do they do that? That all the lessons and all the wisdom they've gained in their 4/5 year journey, they need to take younger players under their wing, and really, be big sisters to them, be role models for them. And so what I think is cool is, yeah, we graduated a phenomenal class last year. Joel Anderson is playing in the NWSL right now, but Callista Reyes, Zoe Cleveley, I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. There's Devin Guilfoyle. There was some Kaylee Gifford. That list is just awesome. They're awesome women, all of them. And I don't want to forget anybody. I know I have, but it's just a really powerful group that moved on. Having said that, we returned 20, I think 20 women from last year's squad. So there's a lot of experience returning. And we brought in 10 brand new we call them ripples, little waves. We brought in the ripples, and they're super talented group. And so, yeah, they've all been playing a huge part in our journey so far this year. But yeah, it's always a fascinating combination. I think prior to our recruits coming in, we try to do a good job of explaining what our program values, what it's about, our philosophy of the game. So it's not like brand new on day one. When I watch them play as seniors, I always give them feedback. I just don't say, hey, great game. I'll say, oh, you played great. And, when you get here, what we're going to be asking you to do in this scenario is this, that, or that. So we try to coach them even before they ever get to our place. And And then you pray, you pray that people stay healthy. And I think right now we have a couple injuries, and I'm sure every team out there does. But you just try to have that foundation, that cultural foundation of the bigger picture at work. And for us, we have some things we think we do that are very unique. We have a mission statement that every girl on our team could tell you. I guess you'd have to be a Pepperdine Wave to know it, but we're on a mission, and we have our core values that every single girl understands and can memorize. And we have a theme that we use yearly. Every year there's a new theme, and it's a way to tie in how we're attempting to navigate the vicious opponents that we come up against every time. So those are Max Rook is my associate head coach. He's brilliant. He's amazing. He's not only just a great human being and a great coach, but he's a wonderful sports psychologist. So I don't know. I'm blessed to work with an amazing staff. Everybody else I work with is fantastic. But we work a lot on our culture. We work a lot on the culture, and the culture. It's cool. We'll have some of our right now. I think we have 6 women playing the NWSL, and obviously probably our highest profile alumni is Lynn Williams, and Lynn's been through it with the U.S. Women's National Team. She's been to the Olympic Games. She's been injured. She's currently recovering. So she'll call. We'll get our alumni calling back and tying in what they learned. And our girls are always sort of surprised to hear that the same things we're doing with them that we did with our alumni. So having been at somewhere, I've been here for 29 years. It's fun to have a little bit. I know every single woman that's ever worn a Pepperdine soccer jersey. It's pretty cool. And so there's a level of stability, and I don't know, it's family. I guess it's family. How's that?
No, that sounds good to me. Speaking of family, you got your niece, right? How was that recruiting process?
But to be fair, this is the funniest thing. I told her, I mean, it's my twin sister, Amy's daughter. And Tatum is a fantastic soccer player. And obviously her dad is Eric Winalda. And she comes from a pretty prolific, a pretty storied soccer family. My sister was a heck of a player too. And so those two are funny. But I told Tatum, I said, I'm not going to recruit you. I will always be your uncle. And I love you no matter what you do. I said, so I let Max and my former assistant coach, Ari Martinez, I said, they're going to recruit you. And if this ends up being the place that you think you're meant to be at, then I want you here. But if it's not, I will love you no matter what. And so she was being recruited by lots of high-end D1 schools, some really good friends of mine. And I would give her the truth. I said, there wasn't one school that I thought she would do poorly at. I thought, man, those are all great options for you. I said, but at the end of the day, you've got to follow your heart. And the cool thing is she's really close with her mom and her brother and her sister, of course, and they're still local. So I think she wanted to play her college soccer where her family could come and support her on the regular. So we feel blessed. And obviously she's already off to a pretty good start. She's had some great moments so far. So,
well, I mean, I'm imagining the recruiting pitch to anybody pretty much starts and ends with that picture of the field that basically overlooks the beach. And if one goes sideways, I'm guessing it's in the Pacific. That would be a pretty good sell for me. I'm just saying.
I'm telling you this is the irony. I don't mind sharing this with the country. We try to scare kids away because most people get caught up in the view, right? And they're like, this is amazing. But I always say you could be in Malibu and have a horrible experience if you have a poor attitude or if you think it's going to be easy. I mean, we are recruiting high end type A, like perfectionist, high achievers. And so when you bring 30 of those together in an environment, let me tell you, you could, I have these silly analogies, but remember in chemistry class, when you put the one drop into the beaker and the whole thing turns red? Well, for some of our girls, they've never experienced one drop of not starting, not traveling, being injured, coming off the bench, maybe not playing at all, getting an F in a class, leaving mom and dad. So the list is pretty substantial of all the things that these young women experience when they get away from home for the first time. And we just lay it out for them like, look, this is not easy. This is not for the faint of heart. And even though the view is great, if you're not choosing us for the right reasons, it's actually going to be a really tough existence for you. So come in with your eyes wide open and understand what you're signing up for, because even though we've never won a national championship, we aspire to win a national championship. And we're bringing in women who want to be national champions and who want to be pros. And so our environment has to be one that can help launch women. If we don't want to, it can still launch women into the next phase of their professional playing career. And so those are the kind of women that we're trying to attract. And it's definitely not for the faint of heart. That's for sure.
Yeah, so you don't want the view to be the best part of their experience, right?
No,
You know,
the
that's
people,
just
yeah, no. And I mean, I surf, don't get me wrong. I get the wave report every day, right? Before I got on the call with you, I was like, should I go out? It was, it's a little windy down there today, but I'm a little sunburned. You can tell I've got sunburn, but it's, the view is amazing, but the best part of Pepperdine are the people it attracts. We're a very rare school in that you can have like a top 10, top 25 athletic experience, a top 50 academic experience, and you can do it at a place that's, has a moral compass. It has a Christian, and not every kid at Pepperdine's a Christian kid, but I think parents and students that choose Pepperdine understand that there's a sense of right and wrong, a sense of ought and ought not to. And I think that's really important for us, at least in the way we run our program.
all right. Well, tell me a little bit about this season. Obviously, still a good start, 5-0-2. You had the two draws, which looking at it, those are gritty results. I know the LSU one. I felt like you probably looked like you were on top of the game, and a little bit unlucky to surrender the goals that you did, but you were able to fight back. So, tell me about your report card for your squad this year.
Yeah, no, it's a good team. I felt like in those two teams, the LSU and the Cal games, are two ties. I love Neil at Cal and Sean at LSU are good friends, and but I felt like we dominated those games. I mean, we outshot LSU 15-3, but they got us on a counterattack late in the first half, and it was a good goal. And then the second half, we gifted them a goal. It was a little bit of a mistake, and it happens. And all of a sudden, you find yourself in a game that we felt like we could have been up 2-0 in the first 15 minutes, and now we're down 2-0. And so what I was so pleased with in that particular game is like, all right, we're going to find out what we got. And man, we made a little bit of a shape tactical adjustment. We're like, look, I'm sort of the mindset, it doesn't matter if you lose 5-0, 1-0, you still lost. So you just go for it. And we went for it. And within 10 minutes of change in shapes, we got 2 goals back into the game. We tied it up, and then we hit the bar. Again, I think not having overtime this year really changes some things. Just
I was
as
going
a
to
side
ask
note.
about that.
Yeah.
But go on. We'll get back to that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So that game, really proud, and our girls were bummed at the end of that game, and it felt like a loss because they're like, man, we should have won that game. So I'm sitting there as a coach going, that was an amazing comeback against a very good LSU team, but they were bummed they didn't win it. And then similarly, Cal's first shot, it was a screamer, went in, and we're down and we're playing well at Cal, and again, got a great goal back to equalize. And I know I'm not supposed to criticize, but we had 2 PKs that weren't called in the game that were clear PKs, clear as day. When you watch the video, they're just, I don't know. So we felt like our girls were bummed again, even though we came back against a very good Cal team. I'm like, those are PKs. So, I'm not alone in those assessments, but really, really proud of the girls for the resilience they've shown. And then, yeah, in some of the other games, when it clicks, it's really, really good. But I think as we're 8 now, when you include our scrimmage against USC, we're 8 games in. So I think we've got to be cautious of not going stale, and we've got to shake the lineup a little bit, sometimes make some tweaks to the system, just so we're continually challenging our girls. We found that out last year when we got hammered by Santa Clara. Jerry and I have I have a lot of respect for Jerry Smith, and I think, have one of the best records of any team we play them every year. So up until 2 years ago, we were like 500 with Santa Clara, but the last couple of years they got us, and last year they beat us up good. But I felt like what I learned from that game is that we had won 10 or 11 games straight last year, and it was almost like we needed something to slap us in the face and get us going again. And I think it's hard to be consistently. I don't know. Sometimes human nature is like, hey, we're great. We're great. And I'm saying to our girls every week, no, we're not there. And we're not even close to being where we could be. Because again, we're trying to pursue excellence. So, but I like our team. I like the depth. They've got a good spirit about them. We've got competition in every position. So many of the girls in the current squad, I really believe, and I know they're my players, but I think there's at least 6 to 7 future NWSL players in the squad. Or pros. There's probably 9 or 10 pros that can go abroad and play, but it's a really good squad. and maybe one of the deepest squads I've ever coached in my 29 years at Pepperdine. So they're young. Some of that talent is young, but talent is talent. And so when it gets confident and when they find their way, it's a fun thing to be a part of. But having said that, we got 2 tough matches this week. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and that'll test you. Let's put that. We'll get to that. Let's get back to the overtime thing.
Yeah.
And because I'm curious, particularly on the women's game, where the scholarship allotment is a little bit more, depth is super important. You know, playing twice a week, all those things. It is the no. How are you dealing with no overtime, especially when the depth and the number of bodies that you might need through a 110-minute game might be a little bit different, or how you utilize those bodies in a 90-minute game. And so just there's not a
Yeah.
question there. That's a terrible
Right.
way
Right.
to approach
No,
it.
no,
But
I understand. I understand. Yeah, we've thought about it. I think it changes things in that I always felt in the past that you had basically 110 minutes to win a soccer game. And I felt like even if we were tied at the end, some of my favorite memories are some of our overtime wins, because if it looks in college soccer with the way the substitution rule works, you can sort of just keep changing out. I don't know. It just, you can throw off the rhythm of the game. It's not, we don't do that intentionally ever, but I think, and most of the programs we play against don't do that, but it's possible. And I'm not a fan of the clock being the clock. I want the referee at some point to almost go back to the ref. And if you were feeling that the other team was time wasting or starting to milk the clock, that somehow that you could get a few extra minutes on the end. I think, I don't know, as a purist, I just think I just don't like that. But I like the overtime. I personally loved it. I felt with the number of student athletes that we're coaching, I think it's important to try to get as many of those kids on the field. We sub a bit. And it's funny, I'm at a private school, which is pretty expensive. So I actually think I would have an argument that our roster depth would be less than a state school. I think eventually, this is a bigger discussion that needs to happen, but I think they need to put roster limits in our sport. And then you could go to 1 game a week. I think what would be in the best interest of our sport would be 1 match a week. But when you have 30 girls on your squad, or 26, or some schools have 35 or 40 because of football, I mean, the whole student athlete experience is just shot, because I'm telling you this, a lot of the mental health stuff you're seeing today is because players who are told they're great their whole life are now all of a sudden not playing. And they're like, what's going on? I don't understand. And I think there either needs to be a reserve system where you have reserve matches for these kids, because what do soccer players want to do? They want to play soccer games, and they're not really able to do that right now. So I sympathize. I've long since been a proponent of reserve matches. You're allowed to have JVs. I know this is a total, I'm taking a left turn out here in the bushes
hey, we're
here,
all
but
good, man. We got nothing but
yeah,
time.
I think reserve matches would be an awesome thing. Even at the end of a Sunday game, you're like, how many kids did you not have play? 8. I got 8. Let's put the goals up, let them play, just something. But right now that doesn't really happen. And you use a whole year of eligibility if you did that, which is crazy. So I don't know. But I don't like I don't like the 90-minute game. I like the overtime. I think how it's going to play out, getting back to the point, I think there's going to be a lot of ties this year. And I know maybe Sean and Neil felt that way, but I'd like to believe, man, if we had 20 more minutes against those 2 teams, that maybe we'd get a result, because I felt like we were playing well. But now with the rules, there's going to be a point maybe this year where I'm going to say, hey, a tie is a good thing. Let's get out of here. So I understand it works both ways, but I just always think, hey, I think the overtime always favored the better team. I generally felt the better team would win over time. So that's why I think going 90 minutes, it is what it is. But I'm not a fan. I like the way it was.
Well, I was curious about that, especially the way those matches appeared to have gone for you earlier. And again, in a year where maybe the complexion of those games is a little bit different, you go, oh yeah, and just like you said,
Yeah,
in a couple of weeks a draw might be. But yeah, I'm just kind of curious the way the coaches are reacting and approaching not just just a compressed amount of time, even though it is full 90 minutes, but still,
sure.
the way that you're trying to rotate bodies in, because that is a part of the college game that is unique to anything
Yeah,
else, is in the bodies that you have. And how do you utilize the best to get out
I don't know
to
if
try and
yeah,
get
I
a
don't know if
result.
anybody said this, Adam. I always say I call it soccer. It's like hockey and soccer, soccer, right? That's what we coach. It's not this pure form of soccer. It's this line rotation sometimes, and it's we do that to keep players engaged and to make sure they know they're loved a little bit. But it's not ideal. I mean, who wants to come off the field? I never did, that's for sure. And so yeah, it's our college game is a little. It's not a pure form of the game. Don't get me wrong, it's awesome, and the intensity. It's a different version of soccer, though. That's for sure. It's totally different. And we try to teach the game in a way that translates to the next level. So the way we play it, for better for worse, is going to be what I think is the beautiful game in the beautiful way. We're trying to teach our women that if they go on to be a pro, that they have the fitness levels to do that, the technical levels to do that, the tactical acumen and the understanding and flexibility to transition well into the next phase. So that's how we're teaching it at Pepperdine. But for some coaches, if I was a young coach and I was just trying to win, maybe I would do it differently. Maybe you get a goal, you go very direct, play for set pieces, and then just hold on. I call that the Burnley, but that didn't work out for Burnley too well because they got relegated last year. So sorry, Burnley fans out in the crowd. That's what I call the Burnley. But it's effective. Occasionally, that is an effective way of getting results. And so I'm actually not discrediting it. It's just not I was a center midfielder, and I like to be on the ball, and I want my players to get on the ball. So it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, and again, this is another left turn, but I was talking to somebody, and I didn't really think about this because I was thinking of fresh legs, and the game would still be at a high level. But when you put in those fresh legs, I think it gets more physical. I think it gets more. You get more of those things because rather than in a 75th minute, two people kind of tired from the rest of the match might not go at each other. And now you've got fresh legs in there, and they're going to be elbowing each other and fighting
Yeah,
it out. So I'd never
it's true.
really
It's true.
considered that kind of aspect of it.
A fresh player against a fatigued player is not ideal sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about your matches this week. You talked about testing yourself, and obviously, boy, that conference is enough of a test as it is. But you got a couple of good matches coming up here this week. You mentioned Long Beach, and also, I mean, the big one is obviously UCLA. So just give me a quick little preview and a thumbnail, and some. You don't have to give away the playbook, but some keys for
Oh
you
no,
for
yeah.
this week to be successful.
Well, I think the first thing is we haven't talked really about Sunday's match because we told our girls, tomorrow night against
Sure.
Long Beach is sort of the national championship game for us. We go one day at a time. I'm sure every coach would tell you the same thing. And what I really like about Long Beach is that Mauricio and Jeff, their staff, they do a good job, very flexible tactically. So we've got to be on our game. We play predominantly 4-4-2, but it morphs into a 4-3-3 and can go into 3-5-2. So at the end of the day, we've got to be on our game. And I really think, and there's no secret here, if the team that controls the ball controls the tempo of the game, and that's always our aim, is to own the ball, own the lion's share of possession, and to sort of dictate the tempo of how the speed of the game, when we pick up the tempo, when we slow it down, switching the point of attack. But no, it's going to be they're tricky. They've got some great attacking players, and it's going to be a fun game. And we, at Pepperdine right now, we play during the day. We don't have lights, so our girls love playing under the lights. We play in the day apparently to see the ocean and the beach view. I guess that's why we do it right now. But
Doesn't
lights are
hurt.
coming. Yeah, lights are coming. But right now, the night games are fun for our girls. So it's going to be a tough place to go. But we're looking forward to it. And then obviously Sunday, yeah. UCLA's tradition is awesome. Marg and her staff are really great human beings. Really love them. They're doing an awesome job. I'll tell you what, them going east and getting the results they got, that was phenomenal. Just all credit to them, because obviously Duke and Carolina have storied and amazing programs. Both Robbie and Anson have done fantastic jobs. So to go on the road and get those results, that is just not easy. We are going east in a couple of years, and we go east not because it's easy, but to sort of harden us. I think, I don't know, maybe because I'm a West Coast, I just think it's a lot harder going east than it is coming west. And you lose 3 hours, and it's just when you get there now, 9 a.m. in the morning, it's 6 a.m. It's just, it messes with your circadian rhythm. So for UCLA to go, I don't know how early they got out there. Maybe they went out a week early because I don't think they're in school yet. They're on the quarter system. So those are things they don't talk about in the news. They don't talk about how early you actually have to get out there to acclimate to the time zone and the weather change and stuff like that. But those are remarkable results. So having said that, I haven't even watched them play yet. I'll watch them on Friday. I'll start watching them on Friday. Now, the way our staff does it is one coach has the first game and the other coach has the second, and then I watch everybody. But my sole focus has been on tomorrow's match against Beach. But I have seen UCLA because I watched the Carolina game in our hotel when we were up in, I guess we were on the road in Cal. So it was an awesome result. It was an awesome result for them. Good team.
Yeah, and I'm guessing you watched it because you're a soccer nut, not because they were and playing a good team, and not because they're on the schedule here in a few weeks. I'm sure you just
that's right. It was
take it in.
It's fun. But no, I think it's going to be, and it's fun. We're gonna it's going to be a fun thing. We got a new video scoreboard. We're going to have a lot of people at the match on Sunday. So it's going to be fun. It should be a great environment, and it should be a great advertisement for the women's game. I think you're going to have two teams that really like to play. And so, hopefully, we're looking to get a couple results this week, but we know we got two vicious opponents and it's going to be difficult. So we just take it one game at a time, stay humble, stay hungry, work hard, do the best we can, learn from the game that just happens, and keep on trucking, keep on climbing.
All right, man. Well, that's all I got for you. I really appreciate your time, the conversation, thoughtfulness. It was awesome. And go get that surfboard or pick up your daughter, which or both. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna go be
takes.
I'm gonna go be a dad now. But if you're ever out in Malibu, man, you want to surf, let me know. Give me a call. I'll take you.
I'll maybe go swimming. I'll let you surf, but we'll do it that way. All right.
All right, brother. Well, it's a pleasure speaking with you. All right.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Yeah.